The Frank Haith Show, brought to you by Don Thornton Cadillac, Pepsi, River Spirit, TTCU, The Credit Union, Bill Knight Ford, and St. Francis Health System. And now your host, Bruce Howard.
Hello again, and welcome to the Frank Haith Show. I'm Bruce Howard, joined by the head coach of the Golden Hurricane, Frank Haith. And Coach, you didn't have the midweek game, but you had a big one over the weekend, of course. It was Wichita State, number 16 team in the country. Tough game. You guys battled, though, didn't you?
I thought we did, Bruce. I thought we, for the most part of this ball game, we played very hard. We didn't rebound as well as we needed to, and I thought that was the difference in the game. Obviously, Reeves had those 7 threes in the first half, and we did a good job on the starting backcourt. But we had our chances. We had our chances in the second half. We just couldn't get over that hump.
In a moment, we'll be back, and we'll have highlights of University of Tulsa at Wichita State. That's next on the Frank Haith Show. We're back on the Frank Haith Show, and Coach, you get ready for number 16 Wichita State, and had a great game at the Reynolds Center, and certainly you guys are revved up to play this one.
We were. We got off to a great start. I thought we handled the ball very well, got good shots. Defensively, I thought we were sound, except when we started not losing Reeves, and that really hurt us.
Absolutely. And the Hurricane taking on Wichita State, and of course, it's a long-running series between these two, and now it's called Havoc in the Heartland. And two pretty darn good games between these two this year as we restart the rivalry, if you will, with Wichita State. And early on, Coach, your team was outstanding.
We were moving the ball. We weren't, there you see Taplin with the baseline drive and drift, Junior making shots, and that was a good sight to see. There's another, three-point shot, and we're shooting the ball pretty well from the perimeter right now.
It's 6-2 at that point, got to be 8-2, and then of course Wichita gets a bucket, but you guys come right back, and this is an outstanding play. He never gave up. Junior E2 got the foul and the basket, and Tulsa's up 10-5.
Yeah, and then nice pump fake once he got that ball. We thought we using our shot fakes in the paint would be a positive for us, and Corey obviously had a good night, but that's a good roll-up on a drive by Jaleel. Again here, quick ball screen, nice shot by Corey.
And Corey, you needed a good game from Corey Henderson, certainly.
Yeah, and he had one of his better games in terms of shooting the ball.
Martin Zigbanu with a good shot fake, and you did get Wichita State up in the air a lot of times on your shot fakes.
Yeah, they're one of the better shot blocking teams in the country, and they want to block shots. And, there's one where Elijah lost Reeves in our zone, and we sunk too hard. And he obviously good shot for him, but another pick and pop Jay by Junior right there.
So Junior E2 with that one, and the Golden Hurricane continuing, in fact tied the game at 25-25 with about 8 minutes to go in the first half after that basket by Junior.
A lot of scoring, the first part of this ball game, and
great hesitation move.
Yeah, really good job by Sterling, good finish.
And the Hurricane down at that point, 33-29 down the backstretch. And again, this Austin Reeves kid, his career high was 15. He scored 23 in the first half.
Yeah, he obviously, he stepped up, but he had 2 really tough threes, but he had a couple uncontested ones also.
That was goaltending, and the basket good for Junior E2. But because of Reeves' play, they had extended their lead out to 12 at some point in the first half. And of course, that basket was a big one, knocked it down to 10. That was your halftime score. Coach, how did you feel about it?
Well, I didn't feel, but I thought, obviously we were going to do a better job on Reeves, and we did. He didn't score in the second half. He hit 7 threes, and they were only up 10. So we felt like we secure our defense on the perimeter, we'd be fine. But what we didn't do was, obviously Morris got going here, and the second shots that he got in the second half were the difference in the game.
Yeah, they went on a 7-0 run to start the second half, so it looked a little bit dicey for the Hurricane, but then you started to come back and started to battle again, and Sterling Taplin, that's an unbelievable play.
Yeah, nice drive, good finish, obviously, using his left hand on the right side was, we always say Sterling's a good layup maker.
But the lead was 19. That knocked it down to 17, and now this basket makes it a 12-point game as Corey, they're going to guard him on the perimeter. He does a nice job.
Yeah, nice execution, out of bounds play there for Junior for a layup, and we cut it back to 12.
And then moments later, you cut it down to 6 on that three-pointer by Corey Henderson. And at that point, you got to feel really good. It went from 19 down to 6.
Yeah, nice setup, a hammer screen on the backside for Corey, got a wide open Jay, he knocked it down. Like you said, we cut it to 6 right there.
Back and forth the teams went down the stretch, and about the midway point here of the second half, you'll get a three-pointer again by Corey Henderson, and he's feeling it at this point.
Yeah, they bumped it back up to 10. We then cut it back again down once again. Here we cut it to 4.
That made it 64-60, anybody's ball game at that point. But then after it became 66-62, unfortunately, Wichita State went on a 9-0 run, which got them back to their double-digit lead. And then it became kind of difficult for you to come back.
Yes, and we turned the ball over. I think we had 4 turnovers down the stretch. We had 15 for the game, but we had a bunch of them there at the end of the ball game where we just kind of lost our composure and didn't get good shots.
And here's Corey Henderson continuing to play well, nailing that two-pointer. And moments later, he would hit a 3 for you. It was all part of a 28-point performance, his second-best performance as a Tulsa Golden Hurricane player.
Yeah, and Corey played well. Obviously shot the ball well, and hopefully something we continue to build on. And he'd be consistent here throughout the end of the year.
And down the back stretch, good to see Jaleel Wheeler get inside and make a play. And so the margin there at 16, it would end up being 19 at 90-71. That's your final score. I don't think that score is really indicative of how well your team played.
Well, Willis made those shots there at the end, Bruce, and like I said, we turned the ball over. We were sloppy down the stretch. I think it was, it wasn't a 19-point win.
Well, as you see, Corey Henderson with 28 points in the ball game, junior E2 with 18 points and 9 rebounds. So now you have to regroup and get ready to play at home against SMU Thursday.
Big one on Thursday against the SMU team. A lot of teams right there in the middle of the pack, and they're one of them.
In a moment, we'll be back, and we'll have a couple of features coming your way on the Frank Haith Show. We're back on the Frank Haith Show, and we have an extra special feature for you. And, Coach, it's about one of your new assistant coaches, Kenton Paulino. Tell us about him.
Well, Kenton was a young man I recruited at Texas out from L.A., and just a wonderful young man, a really good basketball player. He had a great career there at Texas. Obviously, everybody remembers the big shot he hit in the NCAA tournament against West Virginia. Yep. But he's also an outstanding coach, and we're very fortunate to have him with us.
Absolutely. And let's, as we continue here on the Frank Haith Show, let's take a closer look at Kenton Paulino, your chance to meet one of the newest assistant coaches for the University of Tulsa.
Hi, I'm Kenton Paulino, assistant basketball coach, University of Tulsa. I got into coaching because when I was young, I wanted to stay around the game of basketball as long as I could. And I figured if you could be considered a young coach at 40, that's the profession I want to be in. Even as a player, I've always liked the X's and O's and just watching film as a player. And I always wanted to get better and help other guys get better, even as a teammate. I grew up in a rough neighborhood in South Central, but I had a tight-knit family and a big family that kept me grounded and kept me on the right path through high school and eventually moving on and going to college. I went to prep school in Maine, and Coach Haith came out and saw me, and he was different from all the rest of the schools that recruited me because he talked about a national championship. And I remember thinking a national championship at the University of Texas. From this day, I owe a lot to Coach Haith because he saw me a vision of making a national championship, and I have a Final Four ring. Even though we didn't win the national championship, I have a Final Four ring that will be with me for the rest of my life. Coach Haith taught me as a player mainly how to be poised and how to be a student of the game and how to take things a day at a time, and how to get better. So he taught me how to, look at things from, day by day, take it slow, how to be patient and develop and stay positive. One of the reasons I came to Tulsa was obviously Coach Haith, because he recruited me and I played for him, and I built this relationship with him over the years, going from a young boy to a man, and he's helped with that development. Besides that, Tulsa has great tradition in terms of basketball. The coaches that's been through here and have had success. The conference is obviously one of the best conferences in the country, and the competition is great. But the main reason I came to Tulsa is the relationships I have here with the staff and wanting to be part of something special. I think my strengths is mainly with player development and decision making. I spend most of the time working with the guards, and what I do almost, and they probably get annoyed with it, but almost every possession, you know, I'm trying to help them make the right decision, right play. I want players to improve, and I spend a lot of time with individual players on how they can get better and how they can improve within our system. I think that's more of what I bring to the table, player development and decision making, mainly from our guards, and also the bigs. Recruiting is the base of everything in terms of finding the right player with the right character, and it's easy for me to recruit for Coach Haith because I know him personally, and obviously how he recruited me and put a team together. So, but I think recruiting is the lifeline of the program. It all starts with that, then you go from there. When we played West Virginia to get to the Elite Eight, it's a Sweet 16 game. What I remember from that game is it being a dogfight. I mean, it was back and forth. That was our second time playing them that year. Early in the same year, we won on a block shot. So we knew going into that game it was going to be a tough game, and it could come down to the wire. Towards the end of the game, I believe we were up 3. And we had a mix-up on defense where a guy named Pittsnoggle, he made a 3-point shot to tie the game. I remember going into that possession, Coach Barnes said if they make the shot, we won't call timeout. If they tied up, we won't call timeout. We're gonna blow it up the floor, and we're gonna try to score against their transition defense. Because everybody thinks, and it was a great call by Coach Barnes, and everybody thinks when the shot goes in, if you have a timeout, the coach immediately is gonna call a timeout. So when the shot goes in, it's 5 seconds left. I remember feeling like, man, I want this ball, I want this ball. I want to be able to take this last shot. So I ran as hard as I can, and I'm calling for the ball. And A.J. Abrams, who was a freshman at the time, it didn't look like he was going to pass the ball, but he passed it the last second, and I caught it. I remember if I could get it off, I would feel good about it, because I was a pretty good 3-point shooter. That's what I did. So when the shot went in, it was like slow motion, and probably one of the greatest things besides getting married and having my child that I experienced as a player. People may not know this about me, but I'm a huge shoe guy. I collect a lot of shoes. I would say over 50 pair unworn, just sitting in the closet, and you know, but ever since my little 2-year-old Kiera come along, my priorities have changed. So there's no more shoe collecting, but the ones I have in the closet are gonna stay in the closet until my wife tells me I need to go somewhere else. Then they might go in the attic.
It's another Baseline to Baseline, and we're talking with Gino Artisan, a junior forward at the University of Tulsa from Seattle, Washington. What do you miss about the great Northwest? What do you like about Seattle?
I like the rain, honestly. It helps me sleep at night because, you know, nothing's more soothing than some rain.
And you like sleeping. Sleeping is one of your favorite things, right?
Absolutely. I mean, who doesn't love to sleep?
And don't sleep while you're on defense, though, right?
No, you got to be alert at all times in a way.
What have you learned as a player since you've come to Tulsa?
I learned that you just got to work hard every day, and you know, you put the time in, good things will happen for you.
One of the things people may not know about you is you write poetry. Take us through the process of how you write a poem.
Honestly, you just take whatever you feel inside and just put it on paper, and at the end of the day, you got some good art right there. I call it art, but you got some good stuff.
So you're going to publish it someday?
We'll see about that.
Well, Gino, thanks for taking the time.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Gino Artisan joining us on Baseline to Baseline. Gino Artisan on Baseline to Baseline. Coach, you know, he was valuable for you when Daquan Jeffries got hurt. He really helped you a lot off the bench, didn't he?
He did, and we got to get him back on the court more. You know, he's a really good defender. His offensive game is coming around. Gino's one of those guys that come from a serious injury, Achilles injury. He's finally healthy, and we can get more out of him. And I think he's important to our bench success and getting him going again.
And I was going to say, you need more production out of the bench, don't you?
No question. We've been kind of up and down. You had the game where we were 37-0 against Memphis, and then the other night against Wichita State, we didn't have any production out of our bench.
Absolutely. Well, now we go to another feature here on the Frank Haith Show, and this is about the 20th year in the Reynolds Center, and we take you back to the first ever game between Tulsa and Cleveland State. It was something TU fans had dreamed about for decades, an on-campus arena. On December 29, 1998, the Reynolds Center opened with great fanfare and anticipation. First, the unfurling of the retired numbers with Bob Patterson from the 50s, then Paul Pressey from the Nolan Richardson era, Steve Harris, the number 2 all-time scorer at TU, and then, of course, the all-time leading scorer, Shea Seals, who is now an assistant coach under head coach Frank Haith. The Golden Hurricane team came out with great fanfare, spotlights and smoke, and the sellout crowd enjoyed the antics of the Blues Brothers, taking you back to the 1980s. And TU President Bob Lawless with the game ball and a good two-hand chest pass to get things going. Also part of the festivities, Athletic Director Judy McLeod with some hardware for former coaches Jim King, Ken Hayes, Joe Swank, and Clarence Iba's son, Skip. But then there's the game. Head coach Bill Self's second team was 11-2 coming in, and the opponent was Cleveland State. But it was the Vikings who would make the first basket in the arena for legendary head coach Raleigh Massimino. The tide would turn quickly toward TU, however. All-time great Michael Ruffin would get a tip and a steal, and then he gets fouled. And so he becomes the answer to the first trivia question of who scored the first points for TU in the Reynolds Center.
And getting a chance to be there and play in the first game, the atmosphere was unreal, different than anything I had ever experienced up to that point in my playing career. And the energy, the students, the faculty, the excitement around the game and the building, the first tickets being sold, but just even being there and getting a chance to experience that and see that happen, be a part of that atmosphere was absolutely amazing.
Then the first basket for the Hurricane in the new arena was as a result of a steal by Brandon Kurtz, and then after a miss, Kurtz came up with the offensive rebound and the putback, and TU was on their way. So Brandon Kurtz gets the first TU field goal. Who hit the first three-pointer? None other than all-time leading assist man Greg Harrington, who drilled this three-pointer in the first half for TU. In fact, Harrington would have a great game as he was only a freshman but proved his worth on Coach Self's club. Late in the half, after Kurtz tracks down an offensive rebound, Sean Williams would hit a three-pointer. And then there's another steal by Ruffin. We saw this a lot in his career, down court for the big slam dunk, and TU had a halftime lead of 35-23. The Hurricane would continue to pour it on in the second half, Ruffin with yet another slam. Eric Coley would hit a three-pointer. Marcus Hill would also nail a three, and TU was on their way to a dominating 79-51 victory over Cleveland State, the first ever game in a sold-out Reynolds Center. Back on the Frank Haith Show, and Coach, you're halfway through the league season now, and a really important week. You have the home game against SMU, and then at USF on Sunday, but really big game on Thursday, isn't it?
It really is. You look at our league standings, and SMU, Tulsa, Memphis, UConn, all of us are right there together. So it's an important game that somebody's got to get some separation from everybody else, and there's 9 games left, so it's a really big game for us. And
any report card at this point, halfway through the league season? You had a tougher schedule in the early part, right?
We did. We were front heavy, and hopefully we have a chance to have some home games here that are important, and we go on the road to have some important games too.
All right, let's go do it. That is the head coach of the Golden Hurricane, Frank Haith, and we will talk to you next week. So long, everybody.
The Frank Haith Show, brought to you by Don Thornton Cadillac, Pepsi, River Spirit, TTCU, The Credit Union, Bill Knight Ford, and St. Francis Health System. The Frank Haith Show has been a presentation of Golden Hurricane Sports Properties and a Kane Vision production.